Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Callum, back at it again with what makes the Battlebot good or bad part dose. Now, before we get into it, I got quite a lot of comments on the last video. Of course, some of them were mine, so it kind of bumped the total, but from other people I got a lot of comments, and I'd like to thank you guys for that. A few likes, pretty average, but not bad. Either way, you guys had a lot of comments about maybe why you disagreed with me. None of them agreed with me. Not from the ones that I saw. But that's okay. Some of you guys had pretty good points. I wish I could read them though, because they didn't make any sense at all. I've got to disagree. Protecting the wheels isn't just not always important, but can even be harmful. Try saying that 10 times fast. Seriously though, y'all, if you're gonna comment about why you think my point is wrong, at least make it make sense. They had a good point though. Protecting the wheels with a sheet of metal probably isn't going to do a whole lot. I mean, it'll still do some. It'll protect your wheels some. I'm not going to stray away from that. It'll definitely protect your wheels at least a little bit. But definitely something I forgot to mention in mobility, along with having wheels and protecting them, you want to be able to protect your drive chain as much too, which actually turns your wheels. I've seen many drive chains just pop out in the middle of a fight, and that ended their fight. If this whole little spew that I just said didn't make any sense to you, go watch part 1. I'll leave an info card and an end card. You can go watch it either way. And I really just want some more please watch it. It'll make this make more sense. Anyway, let's just move on to the video. Today's points: SelfRighting, Minibots, and my 2 designs. Alright, let's get on to our first point of the video out of 2, SelfRighting. Now, SelfRighting is kind of an interesting topic to go over on its own, because you technically could put this in mobility, because in order to move you gotta be on your head, or if you're upside down and are able to drive on your head, then that's fine. Either way, SelfRighting, it's insanely important and probably a little more overlooked than it should be. Basically, if you get flipped over and you can't move on your wheels, you get counted out because you lose all your mobility, even if you're not knocked out or even hurt at all. Bronco is very good at doing that. I mean, he usually just flips him out of the arena, but if you can get him on his head, works too. Either way, SelfRighting. The way to self-right is to flip yourself back over. That's pretty obvious. But the easiest way to do it, at least if you're a flipper, is just to use your own flipper to move yourself back over. Bronco does this all the time because of his insanely powerful flipper, the best one in the competition and really the best one they've ever seen. The other way you could get over the self-righting problem is to be a flatter robot with big wheels like, again, Tombstone. Since his bot is flat and his wheels are big, he can drive on his head if he does get flipped over. So even if he does get flipped over, he doesn't really have to worry. Sure, his blade is a little bit higher up, but honestly, when you have a blade like that, I'm not sure that it matters where it is, as long as it spins and destroys. Either way, those are the 2 ways to get around it. Either have a flat bot that can drive on its head, or have a flipper bot that can just flip itself back over onto its wheels. Alright, let's move on to my second point, which is Minibots. Now, this is a weird topic because Minibots are heavily used, but honestly, how much do they do? I'm gonna let you think about some notable Minibots. I'll give you about 10 seconds. I'm just kidding, no I won't. Got it? Got any ideas? Did you think of any Minibots at all? No? Maybe? You might have thought of Shaman, which was Witch Doctor's Minibot for a while, but even Shaman didn't do a whole lot. To put it short, Minibots and drones are completely useless. I don't care what you're doing or what the fight is, do not use Minibots. And the main reason for that is because they take away weight from your main bot, which can be used for armor or other things that you might want to put inside it. Of course, there's other reasons, like they just don't do anything. Like for an example, if you're flying a drone and it's spitting fire down onto the enemy, how much is that actually doing? I mean, flamethrowers are already not really useful to begin with, but when it's coming from a drone from the sky where it's only hitting the top and doing literally nothing, what's the point? And if your drone gets destroyed, that's going to cost you hundreds of dollars in money because your drone is just gone, and there's no way to get it back. Now, for Minibots to just drive on the ground, like Shaman, or just like on Warrior Dragon, he just has a little wedge that he drives around, they're still not really useful. Shaman spits out the green fire, which, as you can probably tell, I don't like flamethrowers because they just don't do enough. And basically, other than that, he's just a block, and with some wheels. And that's it. Overall, Minibots are garbage. Do not use Minibots. You can put that weight towards your main bot, which makes it way more useful. Oh, and one more point. If your main bot stops moving and your mini bot is still moving, doesn't matter. Your main bot is gone, they'll count you out. So mini bots, even if they're still moving when your main bot is moving, you hadn't won the fight. Well, after that little rant, I'd like to ask you guys, do you know any good mini bots? Any at all? Name them. Name them in the comments. If I see one good mini bot, I'll pin you. Maybe. Okay, I'll at least give you a heart. Comment that below if you have any ideas, because I can't think of any. Okay guys, well that wraps up all of our points of mobility, weapon, armor, self-righting, and mini-bots. All of these things are important except mini-bots. I just wanted to talk about those because why do people use mini-bots? I don't get it. Why do people use mini-bots? It doesn't make any sense to me. Either way, I've come to the point in the video where we are going to design the worst possible Battlebot ever, and also the best design that I can think of. Now, if you can think of a slightly better design or how to make my best design or worst design worse, go ahead, try. Now this is what I like to call a piece of garbage. Seriously, the design that I made is probably the worst thing that I could possibly think of. So first of all, it's a full body spinner, which if you didn't notice, I'm not a fan of those. And second, it has there's a little bit on the bottom, and that's actually a tiny flamethrower on the bottom, and there's like probably some gasoline inside the thing. Either way, it's a terrible design. It also walks on legs which are connected so it can only walk in a straight line, and the legs are made of plastic. So I don't know how you could get worse. Oh, another little note, if he uses the fire and he's spinning his spinner, there will be a vortex that will make the fire go up and into itself, burning itself alive anyway. And even if the fire didn't go up into itself, it would probably burn off its legs because the legs are plastic. Oh, did I also mention that there's 5 of them that all weigh 50 pounds? So even if they somehow do something, they get knocked around by any decent weapon. Like, if you look at Son of Waiachi, who I haven't mentioned yet, surprisingly enough, if you look at that robot, you would just hit every single one of them and send them flying like 20 feet and into the wall. So that is my worst possible Battlebot design. And now for the best Battlebot that I could think of. Now before I show this picture, if there's a way that you could improve it, because I'm sure it's not the best thing possible. It's pretty close, probably, but it's probably not 100% perfect. So here's the picture. So if you didn't notice, it might resemble a bot that you've seen before. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe you haven't. I think I mentioned it once or twice in this video. Okay, no, I'm gonna stop now. It looks like Tombstone because it's basically based around Tombstone. The most destructive bot I've ever seen that somehow doesn't take damage. Ray Billings has done an extremely good job with this design. Meets most of my requirements except for protecting his wheels, which I have added on to our little design here. His weapon is very powerful and is one of my recommended ones, and it sticks out a little bit from the main bot, which actually helps it because it has a farther reach with its weapon than, say, I don't know, a drum spinner that's connected to the bot. So it can actually hit you before it hits it, which you don't want when you're fighting Tombstone. The other thing is that even if it gets flipped over, its wheels are big enough that it can keep rolling around anyway because the wheels are big enough to go over the top. So if it gets flipped over, it can just roll around just upside down. Also, you probably can't see it from the drawing, but there's a tiny little wheel on top, and something I couldn't show, but a tiny little wheel on the bottom, just to hold the blade a little bit up above the ground. Yeah, I know, it's basically Tombstone. If there's a way you can improve it, tell me. I know, there's been some better bots than Tombstone before, but his design is fantastic. And with that being said, that'll wrap up this 2-part series that I hope you guys enjoyed. This is the end of the video. Thanks for watching this series, and I'll see you guys in the next video.